Hi everybody, I'm Tom Elliott with John Deere, and today we'll show you how to build a retaining wall. We're here on Jeremy and Corey Unruh's 13-acre spread in northeastern Kansas because they responded to our invitation to send us their project ideas. Right after they purchased this home, they built a large concrete patio on the back with an in-ground pool. Their plan was to build a retaining wall and add some landscape material between the wall and the patio. We thought that sounded like a great project many of you might like too. So let's get started. We'll be using a John Deere 3038E compact utility tractor. We added a 300E loader, a 61-inch material bucket, and a factory-installed 370B backhoe. Step 1 is to clear the work area behind the patio of excess soil left over from the patio construction. Dan, also known as Digger Dan, will remove that soil in preparation for building the retaining wall footing. Once the site is prepared, Dan can reposition the tractor and start using the backhoe. He's going to dig a shallow trench from this corner of the patio, around the curve, and all the way to this corner of the patio. It's a shallow trench, but it should have a consistent and correct depth from the top of the patio. That way, when we build the 2x4 concrete forms, it'll be easier to keep the top surface of the poured concrete footing level and the correct distance from the patio surface. Now here's a tip about the value of having a skilled operator like Digger Dan on your team. In essence, he actually used the backhoe to carefully scrape out this trench, rather than dig it out roughly. That way, he was able to make a smooth, level, shallow trench with the consistent depth below the patio surface we want. And that's another reason we call him Digger Dan. Now it's time to build the 2x4 concrete forms. We marked a line from one end of the trench to the other using high-strength yellow twine and made sure it was level. We'll use this as a guide for keeping the top of the forms level and at the correct distance from the patio. The forms themselves are simply 12-foot 2x4s with a wood stake attached at each end. We pounded one stake into the ground first, making sure it matched the previous form. Then we drove the second stake in, keeping everything level and at the correct height for both sides of the forms. The curved corners at each end presented a little challenge, but a roll of tin sheeting solved that problem. Once the forms were complete, we added a layer of gravel. It provides a firm, dry base for the concrete footing and will help keep it from cracking and shifting. Gravel will also keep water from pooling, causing erosion under the footing after the wall is built. We also placed some wire mesh on top of the gravel as reinforcing material that will add a little strength to the concrete, which will also prevent cracking. Okay, time to pour concrete. And remember, this retaining wall footing is 75 feet long. Mixing that much concrete from bags would take way too long. And out here on 13 acres, we have easy access to the back of the patio. As the concrete is poured, we'll scrape off any excess and smooth the surface so the blocks for the wall have a firm, even base and won't wobble. So when it's all done, we have a smooth, level concrete footing, which we let cure for a couple days before building the retaining wall. Okay, the concrete footing has cured and we're ready to build the retaining wall using straight-faced concrete blocks 18 inches long by 8 inches tall and anchor caps 16 inches long and 4 inches tall. Blocks like the ones we're using often feature a lip on the inside face. For the first row of blocks, we used a hammer and chisel to knock the lip off of each block so they'd sit flat on the footing. Then, starting at one end and following the straight line of the footing, we put the first row of concrete blocks in position. Then, through one of the holes in each block, we drilled a 1/2 inch hole 3 inches deep into the footing and inserted a 12-inch peg in each. We filled 8 of those holes with sack concrete to create 8 well-anchored blocks, and filled all the other block holes with 1/2 to 3/4 inch gravel. Next, we stacked the second row of blocks on the first, offsetting that row 9 inches from the first. We left a lip on each of the second row blocks, helping them connect to the row of blocks below them and support the material we want the wall to retain. We filled the holes in the second row of blocks with gravel and added the caps using a common masonry adhesive. Finally, we backfilled the bottom 16 inches between the wall and the patio with gravel. Then we added soil from our wall construction and topped it off with 6 inches of topsoil. The Unruhs finished the landscaping and have welcomed friends and neighbors to their version of the perfect pool party. Frontier has nearly 600 implements that are available only from your John Deere dealer, the place to go for advice and equipment. So remember, for implements that help turn your tractor into the workhorse it was built to be, think Frontier and your John Deere dealer.